Welcome to The Needle, your Division I college basketball podcast. I'm Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. On this podcast, we will present to you weekly conversations on D1 college basketball coaches and their teams. Don't forget to go right now on your computer, phone, or tablet and follow us on Twitter. This episode of The Needle is brought to you by D1CoachCorner.com, your source for Division I college basketball
Thank
coaches.
you for tuning into our 16th episode of The Needle. Again, my name is Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. D1 Coach Corner is the number one source for college basketball preseason predictions and college basketball coach evaluations. The Needle College Basketball Podcast will bring to you 52 weeks of college basketball talks on topics dealing with Division I college basketball coaches and their teams. In this episode, we'll be breaking down our 2018-2019 United States Basketball Writers Association's Coach of the Year Award recipients and give you a little insight on why they were chosen. We will also bring to you our new Coach Impact segment, which will highlight coaches who have recently taken over a team and has positively impacted that team as a result of him being there. And then we will get into our awards and recognition segment of our show, which highlights Division I players and head coaches who have been recognized or rewarded for their accomplishments during this particular year of college basketball. The United States Basketball Writers Association was formed in 1956 to serve the interests of writers who follow college and high school basketball in the United States and is one of the most influential organizations in college basketball. The USBWA has been selecting a Player of the Year and an All-American team in college basketball since the organization began in 1956. The one unique thing that the organization does is give out awards based on districts to recognize several players and coaches who are doing great things around the country. The district awards are divided up into 9 districts, and the media gets to vote on the Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and so on according to the district that they represent. We're going to be discussing the Coach of the Year Award recipients from each of those districts, starting with the District 1 Coach of the Year Award recipient. District 1 consists of players and coaches who have played or coached in the states of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. This year's Coach of the Year recipient for District 1 was Coach John Becker of Vermont. Coach Becker is 50 years old and is in his 8th season as head coach of Vermont. Vermont has participated in a postseason tournament every year since Coach Becker took over the team in 2011. Coach Becker is a 4-time American East Coach of the Year recipient and has been named the USBWA District 1 of the Year 2 times in a row. Coach Becker currently has a record of 107-21 in the American East Conference and is setting an American East record as the fastest head coach to reach 100 conference wins. Will the big boys come calling after the postseason competition ends for Becker? I'm pretty sure that they will. Coach Becker turned down a job last season to coach the Duquesne Dukes. More than likely, Vermont will do what they have to get Coach Becker to stay on board. It has been reported that the Vermont program will be playing in a new arena sometime soon. The arena will be called the Tarrant Event Center, named in honor of a large donor family with connections to the school. Plus, Coach Becker seems to be very happy at Vermont. The USBWA District 2 is represented by New York, New Jersey, Delaware, D.C., Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, still on the East Coast. Hofstra's head coach Joe Mihalik was recipient of the District 2 award. Hofstra won its first outright regular season Colonial Athletic Association title under Coach Mihalik. It is also only the 4th time in school history where the team has won over 24 games in a single season. The other coaches to have led the team to over 24 wins were Frank Riley, Jay Wright, and Tom Pecora. This is Coach Mihalik's 2nd time in 6 seasons being crowned the Colonial Athletic Association regular season champs. They shared the crown with UNC Wilmington in 2016 and just recently won it outright in 2019. Coach Joe Mihalik was also named the Colonial Athletic Association Coach of the Year in 2019. The USBWA District 3 is represented by Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Maryland. The District 3 Coach of the Year award was given to Coach Mike Young of Wofford. Coach Young has built a Wofford team that can do some major damage in the NCAA tournament this year. Be very careful playing this team. Wofford is one of the most well-balanced teams in college basketball. They are ranked 41st in the nation in scoring defense, holding their opponents to only 65.6 points per game. They are also ranked 14th in the nation in scoring offense. This team put up on average 85.1 points per game. They have the third best scoring margin in the nation at plus 17.4. That's outstanding. Coach Mike Young has been with this team for over 30 years. He's a 4-time SoCon Coach of the Year recipient in 2010, 2014, 2015, and this year 2019. The USBWA District 4 is represented by Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. The District 4 Coach of the Year award went to Rick Burns of Tennessee. I know Texas is kicking themselves right now for letting him go. This Tennessee team is going to be very good for a long time. Coach Rick Burns did an excellent job with recruiting. Tennessee should have only 2 players to leave at the end of the season, and they are seniors Admiral Schofield and senior Kyle Alexander. And I don't think that Jordan Bone, Jordan Bowden, and Grant Williams are on the NBA radar right now, but things can change before June. Coach Burns is a 2-time SEC Coach of the Year award winner, winning it last year and this year. He is also a 4-time Big 12 Coach of the Year award winner. I still don't understand why Texas let him go. The USBWA District 5 is represented by Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. This year's Coach of the Year award recipient for that district belonged to Coach Matt Painter of Purdue. No one expected Purdue to win the Big Ten regular season title, but they did. Purdue shares the title with Michigan State. Under Coach Painter's leadership, Purdue hasn't finished less than 3rd place in the Big Ten in the last 5 years. To have accomplished so much, Matt Painter is still very young. He is only 48 years old. Coach Painter is a 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year award recipient. Coach Painter is one of the top 30 coaches in Division I college basketball. The only thing left for him to do is get to the Final Four. Coach Painter hasn't done that yet. Now, the USBWA District 6 is represented by Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. This year's District 6 Coach of the Year award went to Kansas State head coach Bruce Weber. Is hands down one of the top 20 coaches in Division I college basketball. The Kansas State team should be good for a long time. This season, he knocked Kansas out of the number 1 spot for the first time in 15 years. Kansas State shares the Big 12 Conference regular season title with Texas Tech. The USBWA District 7 is represented by Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Speaking of Texas Tech, the USBWA District 7 Coach of the Year award went to Coach Chris Beard of Texas Tech. The Big 12 has some very elite coaches in their conference this year. I guarantee you that in the next few years, Coach Chris Beard and Bruce Weber are going to be 2 of the top 5 of the most successful coaches in college basketball. I knew Coach Beard was going to be the real deal when I first met him in Little Rock, Arkansas. He is one hell of a coach. I am a very big fan of his. Now, the USBWA District 8 is represented by Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, and Montana. The USBWA District 8 Coach of the Year went to Coach Craig Smith of Utah State, who is one of the hottest new coaches in the game. Utah State tied Nevada in the Mountain West for the Mountain West Conference regular season title this year. Coach Smith is in his first season with Utah State. The question is, will some big wigs come after Coach Smith at the end of the season? Coach Smith and Coach Beard are the only 2 head coaches out of the 9 District Coach of the Year award recipients to have less than 5 years of Division I college basketball experience. Coach Smith and Coach Beard are the only 2 head coaches out of the 9 District Coach of the Year award recipients to have less than 5 years of Division I coaching experience. The USBWA District 9 is represented by California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Arizona, and Alaska. The USBWA District 9 Coach of the Year award recipient is Coach Mark Few of Gonzaga. Nothing new here, and nothing else to say. With that said, I hope that Coach Greg Smith decides to stay with Utah and become a powerhouse just like Nevada. And I don't think that there's a job out there that's interesting to him right now. Coach Smith is from the Dakota area. The only job that would probably be more attractive to him is the Nebraska job if it ever comes open. Coach Smith served under Coach Miles at Nebraska. And so much for that. Now let us look into some games played in Week 19 of college basketball to see which teams have moved the needle either up or down. On Sunday, March 10, 2019, Houston sent the message loud and clear to the other teams in the American. We are the champions. Houston walked all over Cincinnati on the road at the Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio. Indiana keeps its NCAA tournament's hopes alive by winning against Rutgers at home, its fourth win in a row. Gardner-Webb punches the first ever Division I NCAA tournament ticket by defeating Radford in the Big South Tournament Championship. It's also Coach Tim Kraft's first tournament appearance as head coach. I got to watch in person Bradley defeat Northern Iowa for the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament Championship. Coach Brian Waddle is one of our coaches on the rise. Liberty defeated Lipscomb to win the ASUN Tournament Championship. On Monday, March 11, 2019, Wofford defeated UNC Greensboro in the SoCon Men's Championship to move on to the NCAA tournament. Wofford remains undefeated in the conference with an 18-0 record. Iota punches the NCAA tournament ticket with a win over Monmouth in the Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference Championship game. On Tuesday, March 12, 2019, happy birthday to myself, St. Mary's makes the West Coast Conference a two-bid conference by winning the West Coast Conference Championship game over Gonzaga. Fairleigh Dickinson punches their ticket with a win over St. Francis, PA in the Northeast Conference Tournament Championship game. Northern Kentucky defeats Wright State to win the Horizon League Championship game. North Dakota defeated Omaha in the Summit League Championship game to punch their ticket. On Wednesday, March 13, 2019, Colgate defeated Bucknell to win their first ever Patriot League tournament title. On Saturday, March 16, 2019, there were a plethora of Division I Conference Finals games. Duke defeated Florida State to win the ACC tournament title. Duke is in a great position to receive a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. Iowa State punches their ticket to the NCAA tournament by defeating Kansas in the Big 12 tournament championship. Buffalo defeated Bowling Green in the MAC Tournament Championship game to prevent a second team from punching a ticket in their conference. Villanova defeated Seton Hall to win the Big East Conference Championship title. Now that concludes the needle moving portion of our show. We will now move on to the new Coach Impact segment and the awards and recognition segment of our show. This portion of our show is brought to you by D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and prediction. Once again, don't forget to go follow us on Twitter after the show at D1CoachCorner. Before we get into our new Coach Impact and Awards and Recognition segment of our show, we have some coaching changes to announce. On March 11, 2019, Coach Bob Hoffman and Mercer decided to part ways after the 11th season. Mercer hasn't finished better than third place since joining the Southern Conference in 2014. Also, Coach Chris Casey served as head coach of Niagara for 6 seasons. Niagara decided to fire Coach Casey due to the fact that he had only 1 win season out of 6. Coach Casey was also named in our Hot Seat Watch List Episode 14. On March 11, 2019, Troy fired Coach Phil Cunningham. Coach Phil Cunningham led Troy to their second NCAA tournament appearance in team history in 2017. But 1 win season out of 6 wasn't good enough for Troy. After 8 seasons of not making it to the NCAA tournament, Fairfield decided to fire Coach Sidney Johnson. Fairfield finished in 9th place in the MAC after the 2018-2019 season. On March 12, 2019, after 4 consecutive losing seasons, Southern Illinois and Edwardsville fired Coach John Harris. SIU announced that Coach Brian Barone will serve as interim head coach for SIUE pending final board and trustee approval. An assistant coach for the Cougars for over the past 2 seasons, Barone will begin directing the program following John Harris, whose contract was not renewed after 4 seasons. Texas A&M decided to let Coach Bill Kennedy go after the team finished 11th place for the 2018-2019 season. On March 13, 2019, Ohio decided to part ways with Coach Saul Phillips for not making it into the NCAA tournament in the 5 seasons he's been with the team. Williams and Mary decided to part ways with Coach Tony Shaver after 16 seasons. William and Mary never made it to the NCAA tournament under Coach Shaver and had only finished in the first round of the NIT twice in 16 seasons. On March 15, 2019, Coach Ernie Kent was fired after 5 seasons with Washington State. Coach Kent failed to produce a single winning season as head coach of the team. Coach Kent was named on our Hot Seat Watch List Episode 14. On March 15, 2019, in a surprise firing, George Washington dismissed Coach Maurice Johnson after 5 seasons. George Washington's record declined over the last 3 seasons. On March 16, 2019, as mentioned in our Hot Seat episode, Coach Marvin Menzie was fired after 3 seasons. Coach Menzie failed to get the team to the NCAA tournament in 3 years. Now on to the New Coach Impact segment of our show. In this New Coach Impact segment, we'll be discussing coaches who have been head coach of a particular Division I basketball team for no more than 5 years and who are on the upward trend towards taking that team to another level. This week's New Coach Impact highlights Coach Craig Smith of Utah. Coach Smith is racking up on the Coach of the Year awards at the end of the season. Coach Smith should be one of the most sought after new head coaches this end of the season. Utah State tied Nevada for the Mountain West Conference regular season title in 2019. Now on to our awards and recognition segment of the show. Our awards and recognition segment highlights Division I players and head coaches who have been recognized and rewarded for their accomplishments during this particular week of the show. The Mountain West Steve Fisher Coach of the Year went to Coach Steve Smith of Utah State. Utah State just recently won the Mountain West Conference tournament for the first time since joining the conference in 2013. The Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year award went to Coach Mike Rhodes of VCU. VCU won the Atlantic 10 regular season tournament this season. The Ivy League Coach of the Year went to Coach Mike Martin of Brown. The Western Athletic Conference Don Haskin Coach of the Year went to Coach Chris Jans of New Mexico State. New Mexico State won the WAC Conference regular season and conference tournament championships for 2 seasons in a row. The SEC Coach of the Year went to Coach Kermit Davis of Ole Miss. Ole Miss had one of the biggest turnarounds in the SEC this season. There's a good chance that Ole Miss may get an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament this season. The Pac-12 John R. Wooden Coach of the Year award went to Coach Mike Hopkins of Washington for the 2nd time in a row. Washington is for certain to receive an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament in 2019. The Big Ten Coach of the Year went to Coach Matt Painter of Purdue. Purdue surprised everyone by sharing the Big Ten regular season championship with Michigan State. The Southland Conference Coach of the Year went to Coach Joe Golding of Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian are the winners of the Southland Conference Tournament Championship. The ACC Coach of the Year went to Coach Tony Bennett of Virginia. That concludes our show for this week. Join us next week at the same time and channel for new episodes. We will also be happy to take questions and comments on Twitter for our next episode. Our Twitter handle is at D1 Coach Corner. That is